When do you let watercolour dry before continuing to paint? That's the viewer question that we're answering today. It's all about edges and it's easier if I show you. So let's paint a simple landscape 3 ways. Use more water, they say. Wet into wet is where watercolour really shines. It's all true, but it's also a really quick way to a very hot mess. For instance, I have splashed in my joyful sky and now I'm popping in my mountains using a lovely dark muted blue colour that is really going to suggest their distant shape. But before you know it, those mountains have suddenly grown, and sometimes they can disappear completely and just become one with the sky. And that's because we've put the damp edge of the mountain into the damp edge of the sky. And we know that watercolor will always move where there is dampness on the paper. Now, it can also be a little bit sneaky because the paper is drying ever so slowly, and sometimes it looks like everything is just fine, and then you look back a couple of minutes later and you see that your mountain has kind of disappeared. I'm popping in the grass as well, and I've got a lovely crop of something yellow coming down towards us in the composition here. So let me just carry on using this completely loose and free, very fun to paint approach of splashing in the color and trying to let go of control and let watercolor do what it will without worrying about waiting to let anything dry in between. Really, at this stage, I've just blocked in the color sections. And one of the important ones is this big dark shadow that is created where the crop is standing up. And I really enjoy painting this sort of thing. Right now, I'm trying to stroke in some suggestions of the stalks of this crop that is coming towards us. So the stalks will seem taller, closer to us, and they will seem tinier further away. And that will give us the suggestion of these crops receding into the distance. I'm adding in a few more green and yellow marks and a slightly more gold color to the yellow, just to suggest a little bit more of the flowers in this little crop. And I also want to add a little bit more interesting color to that shadow. I like a little bit of a purpley grey, but I think on my palette I've got a little bit more of a bright purple than I was expecting. Let's see how we did with the no drying approach to painting. You can see we totally lost the definition in the mountain line, as we were talking about before, and similarly the grass just below the mountains and the little trees and things, nothing in there is distinct anymore. But the same sort of thing has happened in the yellow section, but I have to say, in that section, I rather like it. So the no drying at all approach can give you some really lovely, fun, exciting marks and pretty effects, but it does mean you've got zero control. So what happens if we do the opposite? Let's paint this little scene again, letting everything dry in between. So I've started exactly the same way, popping in the sky first, but I don't want to paint the mountains until I'm sure that sky is completely dry. So one of the things you can do while you wait is just move to a different section of the painting that isn't touching the sky. So let's pop in the grassy greens in the foreground. I can do both sides of the yellow crop because all of those do not have any edges that are touching anything else that is already damp. But now I'm going to have to be patient. So you get to decide. You could go and have a cup of tea, or you could get out the hairdryer. How do you know when it's completely dry? Well, there's a few ways. You can look for the sheen by tipping it to see if you can see any shininess, and you can touch it with your finger or the back of your finger and see if it feels cool to the touch. If it does, it's probably a little bit damp. And remember, if you kind of want to avoid touching your painting with your fingers because there can be oils on your hands, and those will act like a resist for your watercolor paint. But you know, we're not that precious. Sometimes you've got to do these things to figure out how dry your paper is. So now I can confidently put in my mountain lines, knowing that I'm going to keep a lovely crisp edge because I've got a very dry surface to paint on. So it's almost like I'm painting on unpainted paper. It's going to behave exactly the same way, and the paint is not going to move anywhere at all. I'm adding a little bit of a green into this dark blue mountain just to give it a little bit of variety, because I don't want anything too terribly flat. And you'll see that this is one of the disadvantages of using the full control method and making things dry in between, is that you can end up with a kind of flat cutout look. Adding in these little colours, varying the colour, does help somewhat. I'm excited to add my splash of yellow, but of course I need to dry those dark mountains, otherwise they won't be very yellow. Now, because I've got the dry grass on the right hand side of the yellow, I can decide what I want the edge to look like, and I want it to be nice and natural. You know, it's not a perfectly straight line. And it's not going to be the wild and fuzzy line that we got from the wet on wet. So I have to carefully paint in the uneven edge that I want. So it does give me a lot of control, and I can paint that over the green that I put on there. But do bear in mind, when you're working in layers like this, that watercolor is transparent. So whatever you're painting on top is going to be very much affected by whatever is underneath. So painting the green stalks over the lighter yellow, like I'm doing now, is very much easier and is going to look much more natural than when I'm trying to do the other side and trying to paint the yellow flowers on top of the darker green grass. I think we'll be all right, because I made the grass on the other side quite nice and pale because of this. But it's the kind of planning ahead you've got to do if you want to work in these transparent layers. Now I'm adding a few extra colors, darkening up that shadow area, and dropping in a little bit more variety to give us the idea of these tall stalks of whatever crop this happens to be. Now I'm adding a little bit more detail into the sort of yellow flower areas, just like I did when we were working wet into wet. I'm adding a little bit more of the strong yellow color. I'll add in some golds. I've got to add in a few greens and really break up that block of yellow so that it reads a little bit more like a crop of flowers. Unlike when we did this wet into wet, these marks are not going to move. They're going to stay exactly where they are on top of that dry paint, unless I manage to put some of these damp colours next to the other damp dots that I've put in. So it's very definitely possible to build up enough texture and interest working in these patient layers. But I think you do have to work a little bit harder at it. And one of the disadvantages, I think, is that it can also end up looking a little bit more overworked. So, like everything, it's a little bit of a balance. I added some suggestions of trees in the distance, but because I'm painting on dry paper, they just sit there unless I soften the edges, which I can do just by touching my damp brush against the bottom edge that I want to soften. So you can still have soft edges even if you are working in these dry layers. So working with these drier layers does definitely give you more control, but I think it takes a little bit of the life out of it. You can certainly put that life back in. I just think it's a lot more work. So let's do it one more time using the best of both worlds. Where I want the edges to be distinct, I'm going to try and remember to make sure I've got some dry paper. And where I want soft edges, I'm going to fully embrace my wet into wet technique. I'll avoid the mountains for now, but I can pretty much put in everything else. And I want to make sure I put in lots of nice variety in the greens, in the grasses, and even in my lovely yellows, because I really enjoy the texture and interest that watercolor will automatically add. I'm ready to paint my mountains, but are my mountains ready for me? Well, I'm just checking to see. I'm having a look at the sheen so that I can understand how damp the paper is, and I've also checked the temperature with my finger so that I've got an idea of how I think the paint is going to behave. I think it is possibly a little bit too soon. So what I would like to do instead is to use the dampness in the yellow to my advantage and put in those stalks. The shadow that is created where the stalks go into the ground is a good example of the sort of place where you definitely want a soft edge. You know, because there's no light down there, that is one of the most indistinct places in the whole painting. So that is where I want to make sure I've definitely got nice soft edges. whether I'm using the wet into wet technique or working in layers and softening off. Now, I think my sky is not quite dry, so I won't do the mountains, but there is still a slight sheen on my yellow, so I think it would be a good time to pop in a little bit more of the yellows and golds and a little bit of the greens to break up that section a bit, but have them soften out with the lovely gentle edges that we know we saw in the completely wild wet into wet technique. I'm going to paint the first most distant mountain on the left, but I don't want to paint the middle one because then the middle one and the one on the left will just merge together. Instead, I'll move around the painting a little bit. I'm going to go back to the shadow section where the stalks of grass are where the stalks of the crop are going into the grassy section, and add a little bit more colour in there. And I think this is the thing that really just comes with a bit more, a few more brush miles. You kind of get used to working around the painting, letting things dry, finding something else to do in the meantime. And of course, if all else fails, you can always get out the hairdryer. But I do find that the paint looks better. Somehow the effects when the pigments settle naturally seem to be a little bit nicer than when you force them to dry with the hairdryer. Knowing how to create harder edges and softer edges really does go a long way to making watercolor painting feel a lot more manageable. It is one of those critical skills, much like the ability to control the water, which I think is probably on my list of the top quintessential skills for watercolor painters. So much so that I made a video all about it. I'm going to pop it up on the screen and you can watch that one next. Happy painting!